Hi,
Hello. Hi.
I'm Colin.
I'm Meg.
Oh, I'm Sierra.
We are doing Chapter 8, Managing Teamwork. And I guess up first is May.
Okay. Sorry. So for groups and teams and performance, so this section lays out the importance of companies seeking for potential employees to be able to work well with others, especially in a group. And under groups and teams, it talks about the difference between a group and a team, because these two words are obviously used like interchangeably. And what a group is basically two or more people, but it can't be large. It has a leader and it's semi-autonomous. And for a team, it's usually a small number of people and it's a shared leadership and it's usually team self-directed. And for the group performance, there are four major factors. These are original context, group structure, group process, and group development. And the groups and teams work together in order to achieve the mission and objectives of the company. They are the backbone of an organization because they affect one another. Developing groups into teams. Is that another?
Group structure.
Okay. Wait. No, because there are like two subheadings. So, developing groups into teams. This section points out the significance of empowering teams because they tend to be more productive than groups. The discussion will consist of training and analyzing the contrast of a group manager and a team leader. Training and team leadership. One of the important aspects of training and team leadership and being able to help out the employees transform slowly to benefit them and also the organization. It is a way to improve their skills and become better team players and leaders. An organizational development team building program would also be very helpful in turning groups into teams with the help of a change agent. So group managers versus team leaders. A group manager is a directive leadership role and they take full responsibility for performing the four functions of management. Team leaders empower members to take full responsibility for performing the management functions and focus on developing effective group structure and group process and on furthering group development. The management functions include leading, planning, organizing, and staffing. And these are the elements that an organization should focus on when developing a team.
Up next is Ivory with group types and group size under group structure. Oh, sorry, group composition and group leadership and objectives under group structure.
Oh, I think I went to the wrong one. Oh, I'll just repeat it.
So under group composition, it was basically talking about how when picking your groups, remember to mix it up. Don't pick people that basically have the same work style. It's basically they want you to be diverse about it because by choosing different people for the task, you'll get like different outcomes out of them, I guess, which will help possibly make the job or project better because people be bringing different ideas to the table instead of bringing the same ideas. For group leadership and objectives, that was basically talking about basically you're taking charge. You're making sure that you You have the right team that you're working with for the objective of the project. Really wasn't much really discussed for that part, but basically, again, it goes back to picking a great team and making sure you stick to your agenda and getting everything done on time, basically, but being organized in the process. Next is group process.
Okay, so I was put in charge of group process. So group process is more or less patterns of interactions that come up as team members do their jobs. This is also referred to as group dynamics, and this is mainly about how the group behaves with and around one another. And what builds up group processes are group roles, norms, cohesiveness, and decision making and conflict solution. So, group roles. Group roles are not the same thing as job roles. Group roles are how you interact as you work, and job roles are the shared expectations of what you'll be doing and completing within the group. So, group roles are what you do, and job roles are what you're supposed to be doing, more or less. There are three primary group roles. There's the group task roles, and those are members who do and say things that are just for aiding in the completion of the group goal, and those people are very production and task oriented. There are also group maintenance roles, and those are the members who do and say things that are just for developing group processes and cultivating a cooperative behavior. And those people within the groups are very relationship oriented and employee oriented. Then we have the self-interest roles, and those are the members who will do and say things that are just for themselves and their own personal agendas. They are non-sacrificial and are unwilling to bend to help other team members if it does not first help them. So group roles must be filled by members willing to work towards the goal and play to the task and maintenance roles, and they must jointly abandon the self-interest role. And the textbook went on to discuss that if you're a team manager or leader, you need to be aware of the roles your team members play and help cultivate better practices or encourage what's already there. Next, there's group norms, and group norms are the unwritten norms of the group and what they have subconsciously agreed upon as appropriate and inappropriate behavior. So, expectations about behavior that are shared by every group member. And so these norms develop spontaneously as the group members interact and get a feel for each other's behavioral patterns, and they can and will most likely change over time. So group members enforce these norms through enforcing compliance or peer pressure. So if you keep with the norms, you're accepted and congratulated, and if you don't, you may be deemed untrustworthy and left out of decision making. So yielding to the team norms it's a 50-50 split, because depending on what type of norms your team accepts, it can be a good or a bad thing. So if your team, you got to keep in mind your team goals, and if your norms cultivate the proper working environment to achieve them, then yeah, go with the norms, because that's not really a bad thing. But if it's not, don't be afraid to change the norms and to go against what they're saying and help try to guide your team onto the right track to complete the group goal. Next, there's group cohesiveness, and that is more or less the level at which the group follows and carries out the group norms. And so how they do that depends on how cohesive they are together. So to the extent of which the members stick together, how well they interact with each other. And so the more cohesive the group, the tighter the bonds, the more effective the norms are. There are 6 factors that influence group cohesiveness, and that is the strength of the commitment to the goal, the higher chances of success, group size. The textbook discussed how smaller groups are more cohesive than bigger ones, and another way to influence cohesiveness is similarities between group members, equal levels of participation, and competition with another team. So the textbook discussed that if there's another team going for the same goal and there's maybe some kind of reward that happens if you complete the goal first and better, your team will become more cohesive quicker because we're all working towards the same goal, and the goal is something we all equally want. So the textbook talks that, specifically team leaders, that you must keep team cohesiveness in mind, that they
they must be aware of how committed their team is to the goal, and that teams with very low productivity can be cohesive within their lack of interest or care for the team goal. So you've got to keep team productivity in mind and how important the team goal is to the team. So you want to keep team sizes small, try to avoid cliques, and make sure everyone feels included and important. So, and then it also discussed status within the group. And status is the perceived ranking of one member in relation to other members within the group. So they might perceive that one team member is in a higher place than the other team member. And throughout groups, it is common to strive for a higher status. And so those statuses, people within groups believe that to get that status, you get respect, prestige, influence, and power within the group. And so status is based upon several factors, like members' performance, job title, wage or salary, seniority, your knowledge or expertise within your knowledge or expertise in regards to the goal your group is trying to achieve, your interpersonal skills, your appearance, education, race. It can be a plethora of things. And the high status members have more influence. And so usually a high status member is like the team leader. And so the leader's ability to properly manage and keep the group on target heavily affects the group's performance. A highly productive and goal-oriented high-status member will cultivate the same behavior in the rest of the team and vice versa. If you are low production and aren't really here for the goal, then your team won't be either. So the best way to take away that negative effect is to downplay team titles and status symbols. There's also something called status congruence, and that's the acceptance and satisfaction that a team member gets from their group status. Members who are dissatisfied with their status may break away from the group and not work at their full potential. So, as a team leader, you need to be aware of the levels of status within your groups and either carefully dismantle it or learn how to best use it to help your group reach their full potential with happy members. Finally, there's decision making and conflict resolution. So decisions made by group members have a direct effect on performance. In group decision-making, authority is held by the manager. In teams, it is held by the members. For a group decision to be carried through successfully, the whole group must support it in some way, whether they explicitly voted for it or not. Conflict is common in groups, and if they go unresolved, they can severely lower productivity and have a negative effect on performance. Unresolved conflicts can cause members to pull away from the groups and hurt cohesiveness, and so conflicts must be handled immediately and effectively if you want high productivity and cohesiveness in working towards your goals.
And I'm going to be doing the next section, which is stages of group development and management styles, which is pretty much showing you how groups change and how they grow and how the ways in which they manage should change according to that. So the first stage here is forming, which is also known as the orientation stage. This is characterized by low development, and then there's moderate to high commitment to group membership. But since they haven't worked together yet, they're not able to or do not have the competence to do the job as a team yet. The concerns of this stage include structure, leadership, and objectives of the group. And then the group process issues, or also known as the dimensions of group process, include as shown in Exhibit 8-5 on page 242. Include status, how members will fit in, roles and norms, what will be required of them, cohesiveness, which is what the group will be like, decision making, and then conflict, which is how members will get along. And then the appropriate management style for this first stage, forming, is autocratic. So here it's kind of a management directed group at first, so the manager is going to tell the members what to do and how to do it, and then the manager will also closely oversee their performance. The appropriate behavior here is going to be high directive, so most of the time is spent on the group task role of helping the group clarify its objectives and providing clear expectations of members, and then you're going to have the low supportive management behavior as well. But this doesn't mean that you shouldn't do none at all. There should be some time set aside to get to know one another and playing the maintenance role. Then the next stage, stage 2, is storming, which is also called as the dissatisfaction stage, which is characterized by moderate development level, and group members have worked together for some time and tend to become dissatisfied with the group. Questions asked by some of the members include, why am I a member? Is the group going to accomplish anything? Why don't other group members do what is expected? So members become frustrated with the feeling of incompetence, although the group develops some competence to perform the task. And then the work areas in this stage include revolving structure issues and then process issues. But note that this needs to happen before progressing to the next stage of development. Some groups can get stuck at this stage if they do not develop a workable group process. In that case, members may progress to being satisfied as a group and performing as a team. The appropriate management style here is consultative, where you're going to have a highly directive management behavior again and a highly supportive management behavior, including input, playing the maintenance role, and encouraging members to continue to work towards objectives. The next stage, stage 3, is norming, which is also known as the resolution stage, which is characterized by high development. And then, as with time, members resolve the differences between their initial expectations and the realities of objectives, task skills, and so forth. And with developed confidence comes satisfaction with the group, so as they develop friendships. Then attainment of group and structure with acceptable leadership, norms, status, cohesiveness, decision-making as they learn to work together. The group also needs to resolve these issues during periods of conflict or changes. If it's not successful, you may regress back to stage 2, but if successful, you will move on to the next stage. Here, the appropriate management style is precipitative, so group members share decision-making. There's little need for directives once the group members know what to do and how to do it, so the maintenance role is played a lot, and then there's obviously focus on maintenance behavior to get the group through issues it faces. And if task directives are provided that are not needed, the group can either become dissatisfied and progress or remain at this level. The next stage is stage 4, which is performing, also known as the production stage, which is characterized by outstanding development and operation as a team with high levels of satisfaction, maintained effective group structure and process. High productivity leads to positive feelings in this stage. Issues are usually resolved quickly and easily in this stage, and members are open with each other. And here the appropriate management style is empowerment, so group members are given the authority to do their tasks their own way, to make decisions on their own. So now it's a self-directed team. Members play the appropriate task and maintenance roles, and there's no need to play either type of role unless there is conflict, because the group has effective shared leadership, but not all have equal styles and power. Then the last stage is stage 5, which is termination, which is also called the adjourning stage. And unless there is some drastic reorganization. Task groups usually do this, and members experience feelings of leaving the group, and then there's no need for a management style since the group is terminated. And then there's one last little section on changes in group development and management style. Just a couple notes here is that different groups make it to different development levels, and to help ensure development, employees can be trained in group process skills. Teams tend to develop higher than others, higher than groups, but you need to pay attention to management style needed according to the development stage. And managers need to change their leadership behavior according to the development stage that they're in. There are 2 key variables that are throughout each group development stage, and that's competence, which is work on the task, and then there's commitment, which kind of starts high and drops off and then rises, and then the competence continues to increase over time. And this is kind of, you can refer to model 8-1 on page 242 for a good picture of this pattern. And then up next is May with developing groups into teams.
Okay, so developing groups into teams. So this section points out the significance of empowering teams because they tend to be more productive than groups, and the discussion will consist of training and analyzing the contrast of a group manager and a team leader. I think I already went over these. I stopped here because I messed up.
Oh yeah, you went over them.
So do you want me to just?
No,
Okay,
you're
so I'll
good.
read.
You're good.
Okay, I have like 2 more though.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the management functions, leading, planning, organizing, and staffing are the elements that an organization should focus on when developing a team. Team rewards and recognition. An important note is to reward team leaders for team members and I guess team leaders too for their team performance. And this can be done by raising their pay, promoting them, and so forth. Team cooperation should be recognized and not seen as competition, and this is important so that their teamwork can be recognized as one and not individually. And earlier, I think I totally skipped this too.
Lastly is managing meetings with Ivory.
Oh wait, no, I didn't actually. I think I read those. Just kidding.
So in this section, it basically tells you how to have a smooth meeting. One part is objectives. Like you have to ask yourself, do you need to have a meeting today, or like if so, what's the reason for the meeting in the first place? You also need to make sure that for the objectives that you know what you're trying to do in the meetings for sure. If you go in a meeting without having the objective of what you're trying to accomplish, then it's not going to be smooth. Another thing is instead of having a lot of people in the meeting, just try to have a small group. I guess like 7 to 10 would be a fine amount of people to have a meeting. Because if you have too many people in the meeting, then it's going to be overcrowded, and then it's really not going to work out too well. Because then it's like you're not going to be able to hear what's going on. Everybody's not going to hear what's going on because they're going to be trying to talk over each other. Another thing is having an agenda. I guess basically, which goes with the objective too, is to know what you're going into this meeting to talk about and to accomplish, basically. And then also it helps to prepare by the people that you're going to have in the meeting, give them a heads up or give them an agenda so they can have time to prepare ahead of time, write out what they need to do in case they have to participate in the meeting somehow. Another thing is date, place, and time. It's important to have a nice place to meet at. Have a good check around with everybody in the office to see what time works for them. And also, if you have, say, you made a reservation, make sure that you make it in advance so that way when it comes to having a meeting there, you don't have to worry about any problems. Another part is leadership. So they basically said for the meetings, you each take turns with doing the leadership position, trying to make sure that it goes by smoothly. You're basically going to be it's kind of like a classroom lead discussion. You take turns basically in the meeting. Another thing to talk about is technology. Sometimes it's good to have technology in meetings, and sometimes it's not. Technology, the way it'll benefit is that you can have like group chats online, and you can also have like I guess another online meetings. You can use Skype or etc. But on the other hand, the problem that could come is that people may bring their technology with them, and they could be doing other things but paying attention. Like they could be just texting people, or they could be doing emails, or I guess making phone calls instead of paying attention. Yeah, to family members instead of like phone calls that'll benefit in the meeting.
That's a good question, man.
Another part is conducting meetings. Basically the same thing. Know your objective. Make sure it's go by smooth. Then for the meeting, there's like 3 parts: identify objectives, cover agenda items, and summarize and review assignments. Which basically again is the same thing that I already said. Be prepared and have an agenda. Meet your objective goals, and make sure everybody else is prepared for the meeting. for the handling comms section, you got the silent type, you got the talker, wanderer, board member, arguer, and social worker. So for silent type, to help minimize that option, try to talk with them and have them actually talk, because you never know, the silent ones, they can have really great ideas. So just smoothly, I guess, and easily talk to them and try to bring them into the chat. The talker, well, there's talkers that's going to talk. And in order to resolve that, just easily like pick somebody to kind of next conversation out, just help keep going smoothly. Wanderer, they're the ones that like to distract the group, so in order to stay on task, just
I was being so sarcastic.
but she just did exactly. It's not good to have that in this situation because that gets everybody else off track. And
What you were talking about. Anyways,
a board member, that's one who they can have like a lot of things going on in their mind, and they may not want to pay attention to what you're doing. So in order to pull them back in, you call them and get them to start giving you ideas as well. An arguer, in order to resolve that issue, you either pull them aside and have a conversation with them, or you can have everybody come in there. Have everybody come in there and contribute to the group to help die down that issue. Social loafer. That is, you don't want social loafers. That's basically somebody who tries to take credit for things that they didn't even really help do. And in order to help minimize that problem, you peer pressure says use peer pressure to stay on top of them to make them actually do the work. The more pressure you put upon them, the more they're not going to have a choice but to get the work done.
you just get rid of them. Just fire them, I'm telling you.
She just has a mentality of firing people, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes talking with them can actually solve
I
the
think
issue.
you give them warning, second warning, and then you can fire them.
When you're working with groups, hint, this group.
Mm.
In order, it's good to instead of embarrassing one another, just I guess try to work together to get it done. And whatever the weakness is, just easily just don't, instead of like pointing it out, I guess in a rude way, just try to, I guess, throw it out there and work together. I guess if that makes sense. Yeah, I think so. I said a mouthful there.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the group structure and group type and group size. So group type. So there's formal or informal groups. Formal groups are part of formal structure of an organization. Informals are not created by the organizations, meaning it's not part of the formal structure. Functional or cross-functional groups. Functional groups perform jobs within one limited area, and the members of a cross-functional group come from different areas and different levels of an organization. Command or task groups. Command groups consist of managers and the employees they supervise, and task groups consist of employees selected to work on a specific objective. Group size, there's no such thing as an ideal group size because the purpose, situation, and type of work performed are all different. A group may be too small, may limit ideas and creativity, and a group that is too large may not work too well, and not everyone will be able to participate. And yeah.
That's it.